So hello everyone, welcome to Chamber Live with New Day Wellness. My name is Kaylee Worski and I am the events coordinator here at the Greater Sudbury Chamber of Commerce. Eastlink is happy to be sponsoring the Chamber Live series designed to help support businesses by providing an opportunity to learn and network with other entrepreneurs. Thank you all for joining us today. We're so honored to have the founder of New Day Wellness, Lisa Lounsbury, here with us today, who I will introduce shortly, but first a couple housekeeping items. We will be recording the session today and adding it to our resource section on our website. There is also a chat box available, which Lisa can read from directly to answer any questions during this presentation. Should you have any further questions after the webinar, please feel free to reach out to Lisa. All contact information for Lisa will be provided in a post-webinar email along with a recorded link of today's webinar and a brief survey. Thank you again for all joining us today. Should there be any technical difficulties, just note that we appreciate your patience and thank you for rolling with us. In this presentation, Lisa will speak on the importance of staying healthy and productive while working from home and touch upon how we can manage our mental health as we all navigate life and work through COVID-19. Lisa, I'll now turn it over to you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Kaylee. So yeah, we're going to be talking about staying healthy and productive while working from home. And this is a topic I've been talking about for the last couple months now, since we've had some new normals, while many of us have been asked or forced to work from home and the new struggles that that brings. And this is a presentation that I actually delivered via webinar a few months ago, beginning of April. And I kept most of it, but I have updated it because the last 2 months has evolved into some new normals and to some new challenges and things that maybe we were struggling with earlier. Now we've kind of figured out, and now we have new challenges. So just kind of, it's morphing as we go through the weeks of staying healthy and working from home. And I want this to be an interactive session. So I'm going to keep the chat box open, and please feel free to chime in at any time, and I'll keep my eyes on that chat box and respond as effectively as I can so that we can really answer any burning questions that you might have. You might be used to delivering messages via Zoom. I'm certainly learning how to navigate this new normal. However, I much prefer to be doing this in person. So this is the best way of having a back and forth interactive session if you can just reach out to me in the chat. So hopefully the screen will advance, and I'll just get it going. Now, since I'm not sure exactly who's on the call right now, some of you may or may not have heard me speak in the past or know anything about me. I am the founder of New Day Wellness, and I started my company in 2012 to help employees work better and safer. So a healthy employee is a safer employee. And being in the health and wellness industry for the past 30 years, I've met tons of people who want to be healthy, but they're just struggling maybe to just find a habit or find something that works for them, and not to fall into the trap of fads and things that just aren't sustainable. So through my certifications and my training and working with people, I've really understood the value of just making wellness a priority every day. And when you've made that decision, suddenly your journey of being healthy becomes more sustainable. And that's how I deliver all of my messages. And the same with today's messages. We have to make working from home in a healthy manner a priority. And when you figure out how that looks like for you, you're going to start to just navigate around it naturally. And if you want to hear more about the health and wellness messages that I have to share, I do have a platform on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So I do have a TV show on Eastlink. It's called Your Wellness. And I turned that into a podcast so that if you don't have Eastlink TV, you can access the episodes. There's 34 episodes of a talk show where I have really fascinating and experienced guests talking about different things. So if you want to link into that and hear more about what our community is doing to stay healthy and safe, then you have access to that. And mental health has become a real focus for me in my training over the last few years. It's really becoming top of mind, mental health. Being in the wellness industry for 30 years, we weren't talking about mental health and stress was kind of part of the conversation, but certainly mental health was not. We were skirting around that subject for many, many years. So I'm excited that we are now talking about it. People are asking for it and really wanting to understand mental health and how that impacts you and how that impacts your family and your colleagues and your friends. So we're going to touch on managing your mental health. Today, we're going to talk about accomplishing goals while working from home, managing distractions, how to stay focused, and what your new workspace could look like to have a very productive day. You may have already figured some of these things out, or you may still be struggling to figure these things out. So we're gonna touch on all of those today. Now, the reason why I'm so passionate about reaching out to people is because I want to have an opportunity and a new platform to thank people. So I want to thank you for making the time or taking the time to join me today, to make your health a priority, to wanting to be productive at work. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank frontline workers and all of those that you probably know that are going out every day and doing what needs to be done to keep our economy going and to keep our public safe. And this is a picture of my son Max on the right and his colleague. So my son Max is 23. He just started his nursing career in August. He graduated with as a registered nurse in August. And who knew that just a few months after starting his career, he would be thrusted in this pandemic. And Max works at the hospital in Barrie. He has been working in the ICU department, working with COVID patients. So just having a son as a frontline worker, working with COVID patients daily has created a lot of anxiety for me as a mom. So I've had to really focus on calming myself and understanding this illness, understanding how the hospital system is taking care of our vulnerable. So I have many reasons to want to manage my mental health, as you do as well. So this is my reason why I want to be healthy and why I want to thank our frontline workers. You may have seen this image before. It came out a few months ago, and I thought it was the best way of illustrating how we are managing our mental health during this pandemic. And we have decisions to make, and we all have the option of making a decision. And today is your decision, or maybe yesterday was your decision on how you're going to manage your mental health through a pandemic. And in this graph, you'll see in the dark blue, it says, who do I want to be during COVID-19? And the choice is yours. So there's 3 zones that they highlight here. They talk about the fear zone, the learning zone, and the growth zone. So you have the choice today to be in the fear zone, the learning zone, or the growth zone. And where do you want to be? So ultimately, we probably want to be in the growth zone, but it might take some time to get there. Now, we've had a few months to kind of figure out how this pandemic is working, how our new normal is going to look like. But if you think back to March or even April, we may have started in the fear zone. I know I started in the fear zone. So this graph talks about the fear zone. So I grab food, I get toilet paper, I get medications that I don't need. So that's when we witness that hoarding mentality, when for some reason everybody needed to buy some toilet paper. Then you might spread emotions related to fear and anger. So you might not have understood what's going on and you're angry because maybe you've lost your job or just life has changed. So you're dealing with it through fear and anger. Then you may have found yourself complaining frequently about things that really didn't bother you before, but suddenly you've lost that tolerance to be patient. And then maybe you would see something on the internet related to COVID and you'd share it with everybody without maybe realizing, is this fake news? Is this accurate? Is this information that I really should be sharing? And then you may have also been getting mad because you're like, I don't like the way my life has turned out. You know, things are different. And so that's the fear zone where you may have found yourself a few months ago. You may still be there, or maybe you come back and forth once in a while. But we really have to understand that we have to zone in and be mindful of, where am I at today? And do I need to shift into the next level of zoning? So the next one is the learning zone. And that's where it says here, I start to give up what I can't control. And when educating people in mental health, which I used to do on a daily basis, not as much these days, we have to remember that we have to give up those things we can't control. So one of the biggest things we can't control is how other people respond to COVID. So if you see someone who's not distancing the way you expect, or you see someone behaving differently, those are things that we cannot control. You have to understand what you can control is your emotions and your responses. So we have to give up those things that we can't. And if we have to work from home, we have to work from home. We can't change that. So we have to just be resilient and adaptable to that. And it says, I stopped compulsively consuming what hurts me, from foods to news. So I remember a couple of months ago when this started, a lot of my friends were posting pictures of them drinking more wine than usually, or maybe eating more snacks than they used to, just kind of self-sabotaging themselves because we're just frustrated and angry and didn't know how to manage our emotions. So we were feeding it with unhealthy habits. So now we may stop doing that as much. And that's what I've noticed is I'm not getting those conversations and photos of people drinking more and eating more. We've kind of let it like settled in, like, okay, this is going to be for a little bit. I really can't continue this lifestyle. Identify my emotions. So you may again start to realize that your anxiety that you're experiencing is normal and it's okay. And I'm going to do something about it now, as opposed to just getting overwhelmed and having a panic attack. Now I might be able to identify, yeah, today I'm having a bad day. So maybe today I need to take a longer break, or maybe spend more time with my family. It also says, I become aware of the situation and I think how to act. Instead of responding with panic and fear, you may take some time to think more about how you're going to respond. I evaluate information before spreading it. So now hopefully we understand that not all news is accurate. Not all things related to COVID is accurate. So we really have to make sure, where is this information coming from and should I be sharing it? And I recognize that we're all trying to do our best. Not everybody responds to stress and overwhelm the same way. Some people retreat. Some people are very dramatic. Some people come and go. And so it's very complicated to understand how people are responding to this when we've never had to deal with this before. And we need to have an empathetic ear and an empathetic attitude towards how other people are responding as well as ourselves, because it's not going to be the same. So we have to be kind to one another, basically. And if someone's having a bad day and lashing out, it may be because of something they're struggling with at home, or something financial, or who knows. So we have to really step back and not react like, what's your problem? It's not such a big deal. We have to really be kind and empathetic. And hopefully we're moving into the growth zone where I think of others and see how to help them. So if you're on social media, like many of us are, you'll notice a lot of people are starting to shift to more of a giving attitude, where they're making masks, or they're delivering food, or they're reaching out on Zoom and getting together. So we're starting to figure out how to be of service to others. And that's really helped me, as opposed to sitting at home thinking, I don't have anything to offer right now because I'm out of business. What can I do to be of service to others? And when you are of service to others, you will find your days to be brighter and have more of a purpose. I make my talents available to those who need them. And if you have a talent that you haven't been able to share, maybe find a different way of delivering it. And that's what I've had to do. I've had to share my services online. So I live in the present and focus on the future. How we lived our life pre-COVID is never going to come back. So we have to accept that our lives before were different. It's always going to be before COVID and after COVID. That's just the reality of it is. So we have to make sure we look towards the future, as opposed to, well, I used to have this and I used to be able to do it this way, and we used to go here and we used to go there. Well, we have to accept that that's not going to happen. We have to learn to move forward and going, this is going to be our new normal, and it might be for the better. So there are going to be some positives that come out of this. I am empathetic and with others and myself. So that's, again, having that empathetic attitude and listening with an empathetic ear, as opposed to just accusing someone of not handling their emotions appropriately. I thank and appreciate others thanking someone for the littlest things really can help someone have a better day. So when you go to the grocery store and someone hands you a sterilized cart, thank that person for sterilizing your cart. That's going to make them have a better day. Look at them in the eye and just say thank you. You can't imagine the impression you can have on someone. I keep happy, emotional state, and spread hope. Again, we have to know that this is a temporary situation. This will pass. We just don't know when. So we can just remind ourselves that this is not going to be a permanent state. I look for a way to adapt to new changes. Many of you have probably already adapted. You may be working from home, so you're learning to communicate online. So these new normals are something that we have to learn to adapt and be innovative with how we do our work. And the last one is I practice quietude, patience, relationships, and creativity. So enjoy those moments of being patient and having maybe new relationships that you're reaching out to. And use that creativity to garner a better, happier day. So it's really important that you give yourself permission to not be okay on those tough days, and know that this is not something that we were born to accept. We just have to learn how to manage the fear zone, manage the learning zone, and get into that growth zone. So how many of you might still be in the fear zone? So if you can start reaching out to me in chat, let me know if you're in the fear zone, the learning zone, or if you're in the growth zone as of today, just so I have an idea of what's going on with this group today. So if you can start chatting, hopefully you have access to that. I'd love to hear from you. I have a Q&A. Growth. Okay, thank you, Sonia. Learning, but getting close to growth. Fantastic. And I want to remind you that you may move around here again. You may, be in the learning zone for a few days, and then suddenly something new comes on, and then you enter the fear. Amanda, I shuffle throughout the zones. Absolutely. You are going to find yourself moving around depending on the new experiences you may have. So we've got growth. Sonia says, yes, it depends on my vulnerability during each day. And you know what? If you've had a bad sleep, the next day is going to be tougher. If you didn't eat all the nutrients you were supposed to that day, or get the water, or get certain things that your body needs, you are going to handle this differently. Janine, moving between learning and growth. Fantastic. Melody, fluctuate between learning and growth. I'm seeing a lot of movement, and that is very normal. That's how you learn, that's how you grow, and that's how you shift through the different experiences you're going to have. Fantastic. Thank you. Keep them coming. I'm going to keep looking as I'm talking here. So I read an article a couple days ago. I needed to update myself on how are people handling this while working from home. So it is possible to have burnout from working from home. And you may have already experienced it, or maybe you're heading in towards it. So here are some of the strategies CNN Business brought up that is contributing to a possible burnout from working from home. And that's lack of boundaries. And I'm going to talk about that in a few more slides. Suddenly you're exposed to your family and everybody wants a piece of you. So you may notice you're going to have a lack of boundaries. You may be losing control of your schedule. So again, what was life like 2.5 months ago is not what life is like now. So that schedule is certainly changing. You might be trying too hard to be perfect. Maybe you're educating your children. Maybe you're now a stay-at-home, parent who has to be a teacher now. Maybe you are feeling guilty about not putting in 8 full hours of work because you have a toddler who needs you. So we have to let some of those things go, and I'm going to talk about that as well. And maybe you're missing social connections, where if you're a very social person, this is really difficult for us social beings. I'm certainly struggling with this isolation, and we have to find creative and innovative ways to manage that as well. And you may find yourself not taking time for yourself because you're too busy getting your job done. You're too busy teaching your children, or maybe those boundaries are are filling your day where you're not having time for yourself. So these are all things that we need to really be mindful of when managing our mental health in these times. So I'm going to talk about those as we go through your workspace. And if you have questions, you know, keep them coming. Keep them coming. So it's a balancing act. So let's think back to a couple months ago. Yay, I get to work from home. So you might think, oh, I'm going to get more work done. Oh, maybe I'm not working as much. Maybe I'm working too much. So when you started this working from home business, you may have entered it thinking one thing, and maybe you found out that the realization was not what you thought. So maybe you're working more than you thought, or maybe you're working less. So it's a balancing act of figuring this thing out. And some of you might continue to work from home even as businesses start to open. So my husband is working from home, and he doesn't need to be in the office. He's figured out that he can actually work from home. So he might be working from home indefinitely, and you might find that's happening to you as well. So we have to figure this out, whether it's for the short term or the long term. You might think, yay, I get to spend more time with my family 2 months ago. Then you're thinking, oh no, my family's actually too distracting. So we're gonna have to, again, tweak and navigate our days based on the new normal for now. So it is a balancing act. Then you might also have thought, oh, no daily commute. I don't have to drive. I don't have to pay for parking. I don't have to, walk from the parking lot in the middle of winter. Well, when it was winter. Then you might think, oh, well, now I don't have that commute time to mentally prepare for my workday. So a lot of shifts have been happening from working in your regular workspace to working from home if you weren't working from home on a regular basis. So we really had to figure this out. So 2 months ago when I delivered this webinar, one of the things that I really wanted to focus on, and I still want to focus on when it comes to accomplishing your goals, is to get dressed. Get dressed. Now, I don't see a picture of you, but if I did, I would challenge you to stand up and show me if you're wearing your pajamas or not. And if you are wearing your pajamas or wearing something that's really, really comfy and loose and kind of makes you feel comfortable, really comfortable, I encourage you to change your attire. When you are dressed for business, you will automatically be more productive. And I'm not saying put on a shirt and tie, put on a dress and pantyhose. I'm just saying dress for a day like a casual Friday. Wear something that you would normally wear on a casual Friday. You are going to stay more focused. You are going to feel like you're working and you're not going to be lethargic. So it's really, really important to wake up, have the showers that you used to have, do the things with your hair you used to do. You can ease up a little bit, but certainly prepare your day for a work day. And develop a work schedule if you haven't already. So if you find yourself kind of thinking, wow, I'm home, my computer is available to me 12 hours, 24 hours a day, I'll just work here and there, or I'll just work all day, or, we can really lose track of our schedule. So it's important to develop a work schedule, know when you're going to start your day and know when you're going to end your day. And you shouldn't be expected to work more than your regular hours. And if you're a supervisor, or if your expectations are to work outside of your workday, those are boundaries that you need to set. Very, very important to know when you're going to start your day and end your day, and turn off that computer at the end of the day. Please, please turn it off. When you're creating your schedule for your workday, include buffer times for unexpected distractions. So your schedule 2 months ago may not have had distractions of children or outdoor activities or things around the house. So if you're very organized and you have your schedule, don't schedule it as tightly as you used to. You have to be flexible, because there are going to be things that are going to be coming into your day. And when your schedule, gets thrown off, it might be very stressful. So plan for that. Plan for those distractions. Very important to be consistent with regular breaks. I'm teaching live Zoom stretch sessions now, Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. And what they're telling me is, the ladies that are in the sessions, is that they're not breaking for breaks anymore. they're at home and they kind of get into the zone and they've forgotten, oh my gosh, I've been sitting at my desk for 2-3 hours. Why is my back so sore? It's really important to create an ultradian rhythm. Ultradian rhythm is a rhythm that your body starts to get into when you start taking breaks. And that makes you more productive. So you can't feel guilty for taking breaks. So get into that rhythm of regular breaks and getting up and walking around your house, taking the stairs, go outside for a walk, and make that a minimum of every 90 minutes. There's experts that might say do it every 20 minutes, every 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Create your own ultradian rhythm and stick to it. You really have to take those regular breaks. And give yourself permission to take breaks in order to be rested and more productive. If you feel guilty because you should be working and not taking breaks, I want you to give yourself permission to take breaks. And if your supervisor or whoever you think is watching you does not support that, then I would suggest you have a conversation with them. Because if you can't take breaks, you're not going to be productive. And I think you know this, but sometimes we have to be reminded to give ourselves permission and to have that conversation with ourselves and with our coworkers as well. So please don't do it with guilt. Remove the guilt. Many of you might have small children at home and they need you. And if mommy and daddy are at home, they're expecting you to be there for them, and you're expected to care for your children. So give yourself permission to stop working and tend to your children. They are more important than any job in the world. So if your child needs you for 5 minutes, give yourself permission to stop what you're doing and tend to them. They may only need 5 minutes. They may need 10 minutes and then get back to work. But by pushing them away and feeling guilty, you're no longer present in your day-to-day work. So take care of them and then get back to your work. And again, if you're feeling guilty about it, have a discussion with your manager and say, this is how I'm feeling. These are the requirements I have at home. These are my commitments. How can we work around this? It can be done. So managing distractions. Oh, I have some comments here. Alicia, I find it hard that my breaks are to help my children with their homeschool. Yeah, your breaks are going to be for your children as well. And we need to do that without the guilt. You didn't expect to be homeschooling 2 months ago. You didn't expect to be working from home. Like all these things we didn't plan for, we didn't expect. So we have to really be okay with the chaos that we've been thrusted into. Your children are a priority. And if your manager doesn't believe that, you have to have that conversation. So hopefully that helps. Don't find it hard. Just take care of it and remove the guilt. Guilt is a wasted emotion. We don't have time for guilt. So managing distractions. So work to minimize your distractions. So if you find that maybe your children are distracting you more than you think it should be, or other things, we're going to talk about how to get rid of those. So I want you to identify times in your day when you have regular distractions. So if you have to provide homeschooling for your kids from 9 to 12 or whatever it looks like for you, plan your day for that and schedule your work meetings and your work time when you have to be very productive around it, instead of trying to fill it all in together and do it all at once, because we can't multitask. You can do one or the other. So if you're scheduling your week, give yourself that buffer where, okay, from 10 to 12, I have to be a teacher, so I can't be on a meeting. So don't schedule meetings around that. And when you're okay with that and you start to develop that habit, you're going to find out that you're going to be more attentive and more productive everywhere. You're going to be a better homeschooler. You're going to be a better employee. You're going to be a better parent. Schedule high productivity during those typical distractions. You might have to start your work day earlier, maybe before the kids wake up, so you can get some stuff done, because you know from 10 to 12 you're going to be a teacher. So if you kind of have to work around your own lifestyle and what's going on in your home, so that everything gets done and you end your day feeling successful and feeling like you've had a productive day. So we have to be flexible and we have to move things around. And at the top of the call, I talked about establishing boundaries and setting expectations. So we're going to talk about boundaries with respect to your space in a moment. So you have to establish boundaries with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues. And then once you've established those boundaries and set the expectations, and everybody knows what's going on. So everybody knows mom or dad is busy, so they're not going to keep tapping on your shoulder every 10 minutes. They know that mommy and daddy's working. You have to go and do your homework or play a game or something. But if you set an expectation and if you set a boundary, you need to commit to it. If you change it all the time or give in or start new ones every day, it confuses everybody and nobody knows what to do. Then chaos happens. So you establish boundaries anytime, start them sooner than later, set the expectation, and then honor it. You have to do those 3 steps for this to work. And when everybody understands their expectations and their role in the house, you're going to have a calmer home. And who doesn't want a calmer home? Any comments so far? How am I doing? We're going to talk about how to stay focused. Now, you may have thought, oh, working from home is awesome. I don't have to commute. The kitchen is close. I don't have distractions from people walking into my office. But then you're going to realize, oh my gosh, I have laundry that I can see. I have dirty dishes. I can look out the window and see more interesting things. So we have to really learn how to stay focused while working from home. And you may have already figured this out. But if you haven't, here are some tips. So you're going to say, what are your sights? So you're going to look over your desk. You can do it right now. So look over your desk. And what are you looking at? What is over there that might be distracting you? Is it a television? Is it a window? Is it kids? Are people walking back and forth distracting you? So take a look at that, and you might have to physically move your computer or your workspace so that you're looking at something that's not distracting. So right now I'm looking at a wall. So I'm in my own office, which is helpful. So look around, and if you have some distractions, you're gonna have to mitigate that. So I'd like to hear in the chat, or like to see in the chat, what do you see when you look over your computer? Kind of talk to me in the chat and let me know, what do you see? And as you're typing that, take a look at your lighting. Are you struggling to see? Maybe you need to add another lamp. Maybe you need to open your window blind. Alicia says she sees a window. Good. So windows are good. So you have to make sure that that window is not distracting. Maybe there's lots of action going on out there and you might have to turn your back to the window. So take a look at what's over your desk and if you have good lighting. Then you have to take a look at, what are your sounds? Oh, hang on, someone's got a music plays, a ukulele. So if that ukulele is screaming out to you saying, play me, you might have to put that ukulele away, or maybe that image brings you peace and calm. So decide, what is this distraction doing to me? Is it offering me calmness, or is it creating a distraction? Also then, what are your sounds? So to stay focused, oh, I got a comment here, I just want to read. Someone said they were Alicia, I was very lucky. I'm very lucky I was able to convert my guest room into a home office, and my husband and I can share. We're going to talk about your workspace, and that's a great place to have if you have 4 walls and a door. And we're going to talk about creating a nice workspace. Melanie says, I had to change my whole setup. I was at the kitchen table with my 14-year-old for a full week, and we were irritating each other. So I renovated my whole spare room to make it an office. Wow. Working from my kitchen has a plethora of distractions, whether it's a teenager, more food for you to eat, or just the mess that maybe you see. We really, if you can, you have to get out of your kitchen if you can, and create a workspace. So that was very smart, Melanie. So what are your sounds, and what do you hear? Are you hearing noise from other home dwellers? Is there noise outside? Do you have to maybe put a fan on in your room? Like, really take a hard look at your space and what is distracting you from getting your work done. So workspaces. I'm going to give you 3 options here. So option one, have a dedicated spare room with a door to close, with room for storage, space, and your own dedicated equipment. So that's the best of both. That's the best world if you have an extra room. So if you are currently working in a space with no four walls, but you do have a spare room and you really expect to be working from home for another week or two or another month or two or who knows how long, maybe do what I think it was Melanie, do what Melanie said, and Melanie, and look to other spaces in your home for a long-term solution, because we're not sure how long this is going to last. So if you do have a spare room, it is really valuable, so you can, you know, close your door, create a boundary, and that sort of thing. So that is the best case scenario. If you don't have that, option two could be to find a dedicated space in the house to work that's not your couch, not your bed, and maybe not your living room. So find a space. It might be in your dining room. And you can say, you know, don't bother mom, don't bother dad. The dining room is now my office space, and create some kind of boundary, whether it's a physical boundary with a curtain or a portable wall, a divider, that sort of thing, and make that your space. As soon as you combine your personal life with your work life, it's going to get very distracting. If you have, like, on your desk, lunch, your kids' lunch, or maybe some bills to pay, or maybe some schoolwork that your kid needs, and it's on your workspace, it's going to be very distracting. So you have to really keep those very separate. And last option is set up a portable space. So if you don't have a dining room, you don't have a spare room, you're just part of the family, maybe the kitchen is your office, use your kitchen, but then put it away at the end of the day. Maybe someone uses an ironing board as a stand-up desk, like create something out of something, like maybe get blocks or crates or something to create a stand-up desk, or, you know, get a portable table that you can put away at the end of the day. If you really feel you're going to be working from home for any length of time, you really have to get the ergonomics together. You really got to get the space usable for just you, and trying to remove the personal, or separate the personal from the business, or else you are going to have lots of distractions. So that wraps it up when it comes to staying healthy and productive while working from home. It's just the tip of the iceberg, but if you can integrate some of the strategies that you heard today that maybe you weren't using, I really challenge you or encourage you to try them. Try them, and if it doesn't work, try another one, because like I said, we don't know how long this is going to last. And if you expect it to be over tomorrow, so you're still working from the kitchen, in 2 weeks, you're going to find yourself still working from the kitchen. So let's just expect this to last a little bit longer and take those steps. Look for the distractions, create your boundaries, set up your schedule for success, take your breaks, and be okay with having bad days, and be okay with reaching out to others and managing your health as we navigate this new normal. So it's all about balance. So figuring out what works for you and what works for your lifestyle and what works for your kids. Now we have a few minutes for questions and answers. You can reach me if you don't want to reach out this way. You can send me an email. I often get emails after the fact when people have had something they just wanted to share with me. You can visit my website if you want to see other things that I'm up to. There's other webinars on my website as well. So if you want to latch into those are available too. So yeah, fire away.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lisa. We will let people enter their questions in the chat box or the Q&A box.
Maybe you can share with me a challenge that you had and how you overcame it, in case somebody else is having the same challenge, and maybe it's you overcame it with an innovative idea that I might not have talked about. I find that always very helpful. And maybe you feel like you're the only person that had that challenge. So if you're able to share, I don't have to say your name, you can do that as well, so we can learn from others. And don't be shy. Okay, so Sonia, sharing bandwidth. Not everyone can be on Zoom at the same time, and we set up a schedule. Oh, for sure, for sure. I think our bandwidth, this has challenged it for sure. And I think some people can't even do their schoolwork because they don't have access to internet. Maybe they live in a rural area. So absolutely, you might have to schedule your time on Zoom. So thank you for that. Kaylee, I did something to the screen. I don't know what's happening.
That's a-okay. I think we just see you on screen now, so that's great.
Oh, great. A nice five people is different. Yeah, if you have a lot of people living at home, for sure you're gonna have to take turns with that bandwidth. Absolutely. And if someone's on Netflix at the same time, we're not used to being at home at the same time on our computers.
Yeah, and I think that also just communicating all online is quite the challenge as well.
Well, you're right, Kaylee, and sometimes there's a delay. So you're expecting a response and you don't hear it, then you automatically, you think the worst, or maybe the internet shuts down or the audio. Yeah, there's been some challenges, but we have to be patient and, just okay with all the technical challenges that we might be facing. I was teaching at Cambrian College until till the new semester started, and we were doing it online, and I found the students were really struggling to learn via Zoom because they're used to the interaction with the teacher and being able to be close to each other. So there are going to be some challenges with your kids, with your colleagues, and we have to pick up the phone and talk as well.
Great, thanks, Lisa. Any tips for, as we move forward into the workplace and some anxieties that people might have, as we prepare ourselves to go back to work?
Well, that's what we were just talking about, Kaylee. We were talking about, do I remember how to get to work? If you've been isolated like me, you might not be as good a driver. You might not be as good a communicator. Like, do I shake hands? Do I wear a mask? What happens if I cough? Like, all of these things that are going to be different for us, we're going to somehow try to prepare for, but understand that we're all figuring this out. So we have to enter the workplace learning together and not be so judging. Why is she wearing a mask? Or why are they too close to me? Or there's going to be a lot of whys, and we're not going to understand. So we're going to have to learn this new normal together and be patient with each other. But if you can prepare yourself emotionally to be frustrated or to encounter something for the first time that you haven't had to encounter, then I think you'll be able to respond better. Because I know the first time I went to Costco and realized I had to stand in line and be told where to stand was very overwhelming. So if you prepare and expect to have these barriers in your new workspace, then you might be able to respond in a better way. So maybe you're going to have a plexiglass in front of you for the first time, or expected to wear a mask, or not be able to get close to your colleague even though they're in the same room. These are all things we're going to have to figure out together, and just be patient. So hopefully that answered your question.
Perfect, thanks. I see one comment from Louise here. She says, I found working on my vision board in my office keeps me focused. Just a little picture of something I'm looking forward to as to visiting my sons and granddaughters. Keeps me positive and smiling in the future.
Oh, Louisa, thank you for bringing that up. So I know there are a lot of people that do vision boards, and they had a 2020 vision board. So in January, we have our goals for the year, and we have our vision for the year, and we have our things set up 2020, and that may have all changed. But maybe it was just kind of delayed, not really taken away. So if you had a vision board and you had goals, please don't think that it's over and they're not going to happen. You just have to push them forward a few months maybe, or maybe even a new year. So we have to stick to those goals, stick to those visions, but again, be patient and understand we're on pause right now. Basically, we're on pause. So we're gonna just like close our eyes, and whenever 6 months later, we're gonna start from where we left off in February. And if you have something to look forward to every day, every week, maybe in a couple months, that really helps your mental health. So Louise, you're doing a great job of having something to look forward to. So if you find yourself, those that suffer from depression often have a lack of purpose, and they often forget that they have something to look forward to. So we're all at risk of falling into a depression. Not that we're not all going to get depressed, but we have that vulnerability. So one way to prevent that or delay it is to have things to look forward to. So hopefully you had this webinar to look forward to, or maybe you're going to look forward to having dinner with your kids, or maybe you're going to look forward to seeing your grandchildren for the first time next week. It's really, really helpful. Like all other negative situations, there are always very positive. Yes, what we have found over the past few months, we have realized that we have been able to serve individuals that we have not been able to in the past due to distance or anxiety to attend our center. This has been a real eye-opener. Thank you for that, Janine. And I think that's important to remember that it's not all bad. It's different. And sometimes different is hard to accept, but sometimes different is better. And I think this is opening our eyes to how we used to do things, how we used to treat people. And this is giving us the pause to reflect and going, okay, I guess we have to make some changes, and it's going to be okay. And maybe it'll be better, more efficient, maybe more caring. So I think we do have to look at positives. I know that Mother Nature is smiling at us right now, so that's one positive. And if we continue to do that, just bits and pieces at a time when we're struggling to find, why should I get up this morning? That really helps. So thank you for sharing that, Janine.
Wonderful. I think that wraps that up, Lisa. So thank you so much for your time and joining us today and sharing your expertise. And thank you all for signing on. Please check out other upcoming Chamber Live sessions on our website. And on behalf of the Greater Sudbury Chamber of Commerce, we wish you a happy, healthy, and safe long weekend.
Yes, long weekend. There's something to look forward to. Look forward to that.
Absolutely.
And the sun.
Yes, it's going to be great weather. So thank you so much. And thank you again, Lisa. This has been great.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody. Stay safe.